Hi everyone, and welcome to week 6, Networking and User Management. The objectives for this week is to start learning how to display some network information and how to start working with file permissions so that you can see which users or groups would be allowed to do different things such as read, write, and execute on files and folders on the server. Some basic networking commands. You're going to see ping, ifconfig, and IP used really frequently. What I would recommend to you is actually trying each of these. Go pull up your command prompt and try ping, try ifconfig, and try IP. Now, one thing that I would like to note here is ifconfig is considered legacy. It does display important information. You should still try it. However, you will see a little bit of a divide. There are some people that still pretty religiously use ifconfig, and there are some people that have moved on to using IP, which does have broader functionality. So, for example, what you can actually do is at the command prompt, type ifconfig, hit enter, see what happens. And then once the command prompt pops up again, type in IP space A, see what happens, see what comes up, see what it looks like in relation to ifconfig. File permissions in Linux is a little bit different than a lot of systems. When you want to see the different file permissions in Linux, what you would actually do at the command prompt is you would do ls-l, and then you can either do that on the whole folder or you can pass it an argument of a specific file. The image that you're seeing on the screen is if we passed it the argument of a file. If we say ls-l file, what we're going to see at the beginning of the line is going to be the permissions for this particular file. The first character that you see relates to the file type. The next 3 characters are the permissions for the owner. The next 3 characters are the permissions for the group. And then the last 3 characters are the permissions for the world. The types of permissions that we have are going to be read, write, and execute. If it's a dash, it means permission has been denied. The way you change permissions is you're going to use chmod. Now, some people will pronounce this with a hard ch type sound. Some people pronounce this with a soft sh type sound. I've always heard it pronounced as chmod. I have a demo in the FAQ if you would like to see this happen in action on the system. Now, there are technically 2 ways to do file permissions. You could start messing with +R, +W, things like that. However, once you get the hang of it, the much faster way to do it is actually to do it using octal. So the way that you would do it using octal is you would actually say that the access that you're looking for is going to be read, write, or execute. This will actually relate to the binary. If you want to enable, say, read permission, it would be a 1. If you do not want to enable a permission, say, write permission, it would be a 0. So let's say, for example, we want to look at the far right of this image. We have read, write, and execute permissions possible. This is relating to the 3rd number, which is going to be the world or all the other people. This is color-coded by red. And what you're going to see here is that the number for the permissions that we are trying to figure out is 754. 4 is in binary 100. That means we are going to have read permission, there is a single 4, but because we do not have write or execute permission, it's zeros, so that would be the 4 permission. Now, let's say, for example, I had the next image, which is going to be, again, looking at read, write, and execute permissions, going to the binary, that's how many 4s, how many 2s, and how many 1s. The amount of 4s relate to the read, the amount of 2s relate to the write, and the amount of 1s relate to the X. So in this case, what we're looking at for enabled is we have 101. We want to enable read and execute, but we do not want to enable write. It's always going to go in this order. So now we know that 4 plus 1 is 5, therefore the group would have read and execute permission. If they are all enabled, that's a 7. That's common for the owner, and that means read, write, and execute is enabled. A 0 is also somewhat common, and that means no permissions for that particular person. Now, what I think you should do is go test out ping, ifconfig, and IP. Make sure that you are comfortable changing file permissions. If you would like to see a file permission change in action, please go look at my FAQ video on how to change file permissions in Linux. Let me know if you have any questions.